you know, either younger than us or, you know, passed and retired. So why not? You know, I want to challenge myself. The best always looking to fight the best and challenge themselves, you know, and why not, you know, challenge.
We can't beat him, right? This is a money grab for Terence Crawford. It's just a situation where Terence Crawford is trying to fill up his bank account opposed to actually his legacy.
But if you study Floyd closely, like I have, you will notice that he never wastes any steps while he's in the ring.
In a recent live interview with Stephen A. Smith, Terence Crawford appeared to accept Floyd Mayweather's challenge. He explained that his approach to boxing is all about pushing boundaries and embracing tough opponents, regardless of the scale. Crawford stressed that top fighters should always face one another and stated he is prepared to rise to the moment once more. With measured confidence, he framed a potential bout with Mayweather as another chance to prove himself and go beyond what people expect.
Businessman, because this is Terence the businessman talking, right? They got to pay the cheddar to make it better, right?
For sure, for sure. All money ain't good money, so you gotta know that.
Okay, fair enough. I hate to use the word easy, but at times it did feel like you were, you know, having a really easy time out there. Were you expecting it to play out that way?
Listen, it's never easy, you know.
Stephen A. Smith, never one to hold back his opinions, has shown the same passion when discussing boxing. He points to Terence Crawford's rare feat of winning championships in 4 separate weight classes, noting that it's more than just a compliment. It's recognition of something extraordinary in today's sport. At a time when many fighters avoid moving between divisions because of the risks, Crawford's dominance across 4 weight categories makes him stand out. Smith argues that this level of versatility and control cements Crawford's place as one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters ever. It reflects not only his physical adaptability, but also his technical sharpness, mental strength, and determination to continually seek tougher challenges.
Terence Crawford is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance. He had poise in the ring, he wasn't rattled. He backed up and moved when necessary and kept us different. He exchanged enough to gain respect when necessary. It was a brilliant, brilliant, masterful fight on Terence Crawford's.
Roy Jones Jr., who knows better than most what it means to dominate across weight classes, has been outspoken in his admiration for Terence Crawford. He recalled how, in Crawford's matchup with Canelo Alvarez, the champion showed flashes of strategies once used by Floyd Mayweather and Erislandy Lara, 2 fighters who previously gave Canelo trouble. Jones emphasized that Crawford's strength lies not just in his natural ability, but in how he studies, absorbs, and then reshapes those lessons into his own style. Rather than copying moves, Crawford integrates them into his rhythm, making them even more effective in live action. That adaptability, Jones explained, sets him apart from fighters who rely on a single approach and often falter when faced with elite competition.
As Canelo Alvarez has been a great fighter his whole career, people like Erislandy Lara gave you the blueprint on how to beat him. People like Floyd Mayweather also gave you the blueprint on how to beat him. But Bud is more fierce, more fearsome and more angrier and more meaner than both of those guys. So you know if they showed you the blueprint, Bud gonna go out there and take that blueprint and do even more with it, which is what Bud did. So it was never a question in my mind whether Bud really was going to outbox me. It's just if he could take the punch. And right away he showed, bam, he could take the punch. So I knew from that point, if he just slow him down, which he did, he'd be okay. Then late in the fight, what other people still didn't see, late in the fight, Bud started hitting Canelo's body. One of those body shots, I think about the 7th or 8th round, hurt Canelo. I was like, whoa. Bud hit him in the right spot then, and he got Canelo's respect with that too. So Bud fought a very, very awesome fight, fought a beautiful fight, very tactical.
Very controlled.
Yes, it was a beautiful fight for boxing.
It was a beautiful fight. You know, Bud got hit with some shots.
He did. He did.
He got hit with some single shots going out. You know, he's going out and you know Canelo, if he has you trapped in the corner, or along the ropes, it's typically 1 to 2 big shots. You know that if you've watched him.
Yep.
So you could tell Crawford, as he was going out, he knew the one shot was coming, and several times it landed. He even got hit with a 2-piece. I don't remember what round it was, uppercut right hand that Crawford took well. So when you started seeing him absorb the shots, if you're Team Crawford, you don't want him to take that shot. But if you started seeing that, now you know that, okay. And I think that's what gave Crawford the green light to stay there a little bit longer.
He smiled about it.
He smiled about it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that smile can be a lie, and sometimes that smile can mean what I think it meant for Crawford, which is, oh, that's not as bad as I thought it was.
Talk of Terence Crawford facing Floyd Mayweather, even in an exhibition, has stirred plenty of debate. Critics caution that such a fight could cast a shadow over Crawford's legacy. In their view, rather than building on his landmark wins, like dismantling Errol Spence or dominating Canelo Alvarez, he'd risk being seen as chasing a payday instead of competitive greatness. The concern stems from Mayweather's recent track record, which has focused more on lucrative exhibitions than legacy-defining battles. Some analysts argue Crawford has come too far to jeopardize his reputation in this way. Still, others maintain that his place among boxing's elite is already cemented, and if he does choose to share the ring with Mayweather, it would only add another intriguing chapter to his career.
For Terence Crawford, it's just a situation where Terence Crawford is trying to fill up his bank account opposed to actually his legacy. This is what was being said, right? This is what people perceived. Terence Crawford was just attempting to cash out.
Comparisons between Floyd Mayweather and Terence Crawford inevitably spark complicated discussions. Mayweather's record is stacked with victories over some of boxing's biggest names, but critics often question the timing of those matchups. Canelo Alvarez, for instance, was still relatively inexperienced when he met Mayweather, while Manny Pacquiao was dealing with an injury during their long-awaited clash in 2015. In addition, Floyd's reluctance to offer rematches, especially to Pacquiao, left some fans with unanswered questions. Crawford's resume, on the other hand, is built on decisive wins over opponents widely regarded as being in their prime. This contrast continues to fuel debate over whether Mayweather's flawless record was purely a reflection of his unmatched skill or the product of carefully calculated timing and matchmaking.
Floyd Mayweather is still greater than Terence Crawford. We need to really talk about this now. A lot of you guys are putting Crawford a bit too high. If you want to say Crawford could beat Floyd, I'm more open to that conversation, but when you're lining up the careers, I'm going to say Floyd every time. While they're both 5-division, Bud has become 3-time undisputed, but he's only fought 10 world champions to Floyd's 25 world champions. You can't take away the 5-division, 3-time undisputed. In terms of accolades, yeah, he probably gets the nod over Floyd. I say the accolades are about relative, considering Floyd Mayweather won Fighter of the Decade as well. But when you get to the resumes, Pacquiao, Oscar, Canelo, Cotto, Mosley, Castillo, Marquez, Zab, Gotti, Hatton, and Corley. There's probably way more people that this guy just didn't name. And then when you get to Bud's resume, not saying it's just bad, but the only names that's really worth mentioning is going to be Spence and Canelo. It's not a knock on Bud. Bud was not able to make those fights early on in his career. But I got to tell you guys what it is. Bud's resume just doesn't line up with Floyd's. Take their top 20 wins. Bud don't even got 20 wins to really sit here and name. Floyd got a good 20-something plus. Bud probably got about 10 wins that we could really sit here and name. Floyd's still greater than Bud in my opinion.
Tony Jeff, a well-regarded boxing analyst, has argued that Floyd Mayweather's true strength went beyond quick hands or sharp defense. It was his mindset that set him apart. Jeff explains that Mayweather carried an unshakable conviction that he could outclass anyone in the ring, and that belief often became his greatest advantage. In competitive matchups, his confidence, paired with a deep understanding of strategy, consistently gave him the upper hand. Mayweather's ability to study opponents, adjust instantly, and remain composed under pressure distinguished him from fighters who depended mainly on physical ability. According to Jeff, this blend of mental toughness and technical accuracy is what made Mayweather seem nearly untouchable, ultimately allowing him to leave the sport undefeated.
Strong mindset, they're really confident, they really believe in themselves, but you need more than that mindset. You need to have the full package of everything that I'm talking about, what Floyd has got.
You fighters should only want to get better. The more you win, the more you should work hard. If you think about losing, you're going to lose. All I ever thought about was winning. So that's all I know.
Floyd would visualize his success before he even stepped into the ring. There was no alternative to him but winning. And this mindset isn't just for boxing, it's for all walks of life. And I've actually done a full video talking about how I used this mindset of visualization to win my Olympic medal. And it was an absolute game changer. Now, Floyd used to use this mindset to ease the pressure that he put himself under. And he made himself think like, I'm not under any pressure right now, where he was under immense pressure.
Pressure either makes you or break you. Well, you see where I'm at, so it's obvious that I'm the type of athlete or I'm the type of entertainer that can deal with pressure. There's never no pressure.
Now, if you watch his fight in 2013 when he fought Canelo Alvarez, Canelo came in a young, strong, undefeated fighter, but by round 2, Floyd kind of had him figured out. He was reading Canelo's jab. He would slip outside and then come back with a clean counter punch, then move his feet and get out of the way. He basically had the full fight under control, and he was controlling the full rhythm of the fight. He was forcing Canelo to fight at his pace. And this is what he would do in all of his fights. He would get his opponent to do what he wanted them to do without their opponent even realizing it, which is what we call boxing IQ. Now, even though I'm not a fan of Floyd Mayweather personally, because of the time when I did meet him, what he said to me made me just feel like this guy is a piece of...
The boxing world is always eager for matchups that capture the imagination, and one of the latest possibilities gaining traction is a showdown between Terence Crawford and David Benavidez. With his size, punching power, and relentless pressure, Benavidez presents a completely different challenge, one that many believe could push Crawford further than any opponent he has encountered so far. Although no official confirmation has been made, the ongoing speculation reflects fans' appetite for high stakes, legacy-defining bouts, rather than money-driven exhibitions with little sporting value. A meeting between Crawford's precision and Benavidez's aggression would embody the classic battle of skill versus size, making it a dream scenario for boxing enthusiasts.
Not me, but shocked the world. This past Saturday, Mexican Independence Day weekend, what he took on and defeated another first ballot Hall of Famer, but he essentially jumped up 3 weight classes, technically 2, from 154 to 168, but only had 1 fight at 154 last August against Israel Majimov. Terence Crawford defeated Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is a 4-division champion, 2-time undisputed super middleweight, and the reigning, at the time, super middleweight world champion, undisputed world champion. And Terence Crawford beat him handily and convincingly. And because he beat him so easily, now the 63 win, 3 loss, 2 draw, 39 win by way of knockout, biggest threat has been now imposed on Terence Bud Crawford. And that's the Mexican Ecuadorian monster, David Benavidez, who is a 2-division undefeated world champion, is the 2-time WBC super middleweight and reigning WBC light heavyweight, 175-pound champion, who has a record of 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout. He stands 6'2" with a 75-inch arm. This is a fight that David Benavidez has been calling for Canelo Alvarez when he was at 168, and Canelo Alvarez strategically maneuvered around him. But Canelo Alvarez is 5'7", with a 70-inch arm reach, started his career at 147 pounds, made his real name at 154 pounds. He's not a big guy, okay? And styles make fights. Benavidez is 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. His last fight at 168 against Demetrius Andrade, he rehydrated to 193. So he's a big guy. Canelo Alvarez probably rehydrate to 182, maybe 185 max, right? He's not a big guy, right?
The question of whether Floyd Mayweather or Terence Crawford stands above the other is one without a definitive answer. Both men consistently met the top contenders of their eras and emerged with commanding victories. Mayweather carved out his legacy with a flawless record and defensive artistry, while Crawford's rare ability to rise through weight divisions and still dominate is equally impressive. The difficulty in judging them side by side is that their careers unfolded under different circumstances, making a direct comparison unfair. Rather than naming one as superior, it's more fitting to recognize that both embody the pinnacle of boxing excellence.
Oh my goodness, I said that was gonna happen. If Crawford was to win, we're gonna be seeing a lot of these debates on whether or not Floyd Mayweather or Terence Crawford is gonna be better. Now this is gonna be a debate for a long, long time. I'm talking about one of those debates like LeBron versus MJ, Messi versus Ronaldo. It's one of those. And the thing is, I can get behind it. Let me go ahead and say this. When it comes to resume, I do think we give Floyd Mayweather the edge. I mean, he beat a bunch of champions. He reigned for a long time. While Crawford, his resume is heavily criticized, and he's just not getting, his kind of respect for beating Errol Spence and Canelo Alvarez. But if we're talking strictly off of skills, this is where things get really, really tough to talk about. I think a fair assessment of this matchup would be Floyd Mayweather wins from 135 and 140, while Crawford wins from 147 to 154. And I say that because I feel like Floyd's style changed once he got to welterweight. He became a more defensive fighter, and he just wasn't as much focused on offense. And knowing this, I feel like Crawford would have had a much better chance of handling him. And we all know, Crawford was an absolute monster at welterweight. But hey man, like I said, this is gonna be a debate for a very long time. I can't wait to hear all the talk about it. But I'm curious on your thoughts. Who do you think wins in the fight? Floyd or Terence Crawford? Let's talk about it, and follow me for more Boxing Talk.
Greg Hackett's take on Crawford's victory over Canelo captures the deeper symbolism behind the fight. By recognizing Canelo as the sport's top figure, Hackett underscored just how dominant and intimidating the Mexican star had been for more than a decade. Crawford's ability to not only meet that challenge but also seize control and break him down marked a dramatic turning point in boxing's hierarchy. In Hackett's view, Crawford is now the one other fighters must fear, the new apex predator at the summit of the sport. This wasn't merely another addition to his record, it was a defining triumph that reshaped the landscape, signaling that Crawford had dethroned the shark and claimed the role of hunter.
Because you gotta remember, Canelo is the guy right now in the sport that's supposed to be the man, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, all right, who else I'm gonna fight? You beat the shark, you beat the wolf. Damn, ain't no more ops out there. It's ops out there, but who gonna make them really want to get up? That's the
shit. Gotta make sense. Like you said, you be the shark and then you be the wolf.
Yeah.
But there's the monster.
Yeah, there is, but that's like a real monster.
Bro, that's to me it don't make sense. But that's
really
what.
A monster.
Yo, is that proof? All right, we got the legendary Pape in the building. Legend. But what makes sense? Like, what makes the most sense? I know you said get a line of suits, Brooks Brothers.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Your line of suits, get your money, man. Go away and get the easy money, man. You ain't gotta sweat no more.
What's up, boy?
Not saying you ain't gotta work, you ain't gotta sweat.
What's that?
He's paved a career where he could sit down at a table and get this money. He could come out with a Terence Crawford series now, just doing whatever he like to do. People gonna watch it. Nobody, the fighting part, people don't understand what it's like to be a fighter. A lot of times fighters really don't be interested in certain fights. It's cause when a guy see himself up here and then is fighting a guy down here, it don't interest him. So therefore when he train, he not gonna really train. He gonna train, but he not gonna train. He not gonna listen. He gonna feel like his coach taking it too serious, and he's like, man, this ain't even that.
Terence Crawford's win over Canelo Alvarez stands as the defining milestone of his career, erasing any lingering doubts about his greatness. His earlier dismantling of Errol Spence had already quieted critics who questioned the level of his competition, as Crawford dominated every round with complete command. Yet it was the victory over Canelo, long regarded as nearly untouchable, that truly solidified his place in boxing history. With these back-to-back triumphs, most analysts now agree that the debate over Crawford's standing among the all-time greats is effectively settled. His ability to outclass elite champions across multiple weight divisions leaves little room for dispute about his dominance.
But I think there was enough action, and I think Crawford displayed his skill enough, even to someone with not the most trained eye, that they know they saw a very high-level athlete perform something at a very high level last night. I think he gained the sports world's attention last night and respect. He already did after Spence, but it went to another level in this fight.
And I think even the fight itself, like just from a median level, But then the moments where they were having these exchanges, like kind of late in the fight, then people were like, all right, it was good. Then like, okay, I saw somebody like they're squabbing, like they're this is a fight here. So I think it did.
And Crawford closed the show.
Yeah.
In 10, 11, 12, he stood in there and landed some hard shots and rocked Canelo at the bell. He didn't. James was talking about the great Floyd Mayweather. Floyd would go up on you 8-0 and then coast, and you might as well turn the fight off at midway through the ninth. Like, you know, he's not gonna. But Crawford didn't do that.
That wraps up today's video. Thanks for watching.